Let's talk about an actual IP address. What an actual IP address is, and you've seen these before, let's say 192.168.2.100, which happens to be the IP address of our domain controller. What we have here, let's break that address down. The first part is an octet, dot an octet, dot an octet, dot an octet. Now you're asking, what's an octet? An octet is basically 8 bits, or what we commonly call a byte. What the computer sees is a series of zeros and ones coming through, and what we see is the IP address, because if you think about it, when you have 4 octets, that's a series of 32 zeros and ones. That's not very easy to remember, now is it? Okay, let's talk about some old technology. And in order to become certified, unfortunately, and in some places still out there in the real world, we have to learn about Class A, Class B, and Class C licensing. This is left over from the days when we didn't have public and private addresses, when everything was public. Every single IP address we had to be legitimate on the Internet. So what happened is we have a finite number of these addresses, is you would have to go and actually lease an address through Network Solutions or through whoever was governing it at the time. A Class A license can be distinguished by the first octet. It is in the range from 1 to 126. A Class B license is in the range from 128 to 191. A Class C license is in the range from 192 to 223, which brings us to Class D license, which is basically the multicast class. The Class D license, you don't go out there and buy one. It's reserved for multicasting, which we talk about sometime in the future. Now you might be wondering what happened to 127, because A is from 1 to 126, B is from 128 to 191. 127 is known as the loop back. If you ping 127.anything.anything.anything.anything but 0, what you get is called a loop back. It is made, if you ping it and you get a reply back, that means TCP/IP is installed properly and functioning properly. Let's go through these licensings one more time, the class licenses. Class A, just the first octet is the network address. The last octet, the host addresses. So you can have a lot of hosts with a Class A. Class B is the first 2 octets is the network address. The last 2 octets is the host address. And we're getting into the difference between the network and the host address in a second here, but just keep in mind, in a B license, the first 2 octets, the 192, 168, or what have you, is the network, the last 2 is the host, and finally a Class C, just the last octet are the host addresses. A simple way to think about the difference between a network and a host address is think about your address at home. You live on a street, and you live in a house with a number on the street. The analogy would be the street is the network address, the house number on the street is the host address. Now, let's go in, use the telestrator, and take a look at an IP address and break it down in its parts and introduce you to something called the subnet mask.